Hi, everybody. Thanks again for joining us today, this evening. We have an hour workshop where we have a planned agenda that I'll go through shortly. And sorry, just getting my screens all fixed here. Just one note before we get started, this workshop is being recorded and will be posted on our website later for you to view. Thanks again for joining us this evening for this regional water equity effort deep dives, where we're having a special topic related to water use in agriculture. My name is Rebecca Appel, and I'm with the County's Office of Sustainability and Environmental Justice, or OSEJ. And I'll start off by sharing what we have planned for the next hour of our evening. So we'll first go through a brief introduction of this county-led effort. Then we'll have our special topic speaker, Stephanie Zinn with Geosyntec, who is a senior water resources planner, who will be sharing the preliminary findings from agriculture topic from this comprehensive report. We'll then break out into discussion rooms for a bit of Q&A, where we'll be using a digital whiteboard to interact and share thoughts. We really want to hear from you during this time and appreciate any experiences or feedback you may have. And so we ask that you hold your questions until this time, as you'll have an opportunity to ask Stephanie questions, as well as our OSEJ staff about the overall regional water equity effort. And after that, we'll come back together for some closing thoughts. So to start off, in September of 2022, the County of San Diego's Board of Supervisors directed staff to take a proactive regional approach to address the drought crisis through drought management and water sustainability practices to align with how California recognizes the human right to water through Assembly Bill 685. As water is an essential resource and impacts all life in every area, this is a collaborative approach with equity at the center of this effort, including binational partnerships with Imperial County and tribal communities. With this, we're developing a regional water equity report that will identify needs and opportunities to adapt to our changing climate and equitably address drought impacts. The majority of this scope will be occurring in the San Diego region, with that area in the dark blue. However, this project is also exploring components of water equity within Imperial County and border cities. Our goal is to assess what systems or procedures may be in place for drought response and water supply strategies in these areas. Overall, this effort is a collaborative effort and considers the whole region, local municipalities within the San Diego County, Imperial County, and insights from binational cities. And this report will highlight best practices in the region and beyond in water sustainability strategies so that we can learn from the experiences of our neighbors. So now I'd like to introduce our featured speaker, Stephanie Zinn with Geosyntec, who is going to be sharing the findings from the comprehensive report.
Great, thank you.
I'm sorry, Stephanie, before you start, I would just like to say that we have interpretation in Spanish. If there's anyone here who would like interpretation, there's a globe at the bottom of your screen that you can click to enter the Spanish room. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? Yes, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rebecca, for that introduction. Really looking forward to discussing this topic today. And so my goal really is to give a high-level overview of agriculture throughout the region and the water resources.
Stephanie, I'm sorry, but we can't hear you. You don't appear to be muted, though, so I'm not sure.
Can you guys?
I can hear her as well.
Here.
Okay, I'll keep going. If anyone can't hear me, please speak up. But it sounds like sounds like most of you can. So the goal today is just to give a high-level overview of some of the work that we've been doing focused around agriculture throughout the region and some of the water resources that support that agricultural production. And so I'm a part of a large team who's working on this overall regional water equity effort, and agriculture is a really important part of that. But really looking forward to, giving this overview and then having discussions collaboratively with you all to get your perspectives on this topic. So that's really the goal today, and we're looking forward to it. So I wanted to start with the scope of this effort. And you saw a map from Rebecca on what we're defining as the region. And we're really looking at 5 focus areas that have kind of unique water management practices and situations that we'll talk a little bit about. So we have San Diego County, which is actually split up into 2 different focus areas. So Western San Diego County is completely within the San Diego County Water Authority's jurisdiction, and that's an important consideration and why we've split it out into Western San Diego County, and then the rest of Eastern San Diego County, which is outside of that jurisdictions. We're also looking at several tribal nations that currently occupy land within this region, Imperial County and Imperial Irrigation District, as well as the border communities. And each one of these focus areas has different levels of agricultural production. And this is a high-level map that shows some land use throughout the region, that shows kind of the extent of some of the urban land shown in orange compared to some of the more rural and agricultural lands shown in green. So you can see that both of those exist in these focus areas. So now we'll talk a little bit about the different levels of agriculture throughout each one of those focus areas. So in San Diego County, here's an overview. This includes focus areas both for Western and Eastern San Diego County. So it's combined. And so throughout the county, there's about 220,000 acres of agricultural area. And most of these farms are on the smaller side, less than 10 acres, and most of them are also family owned. And you can see throughout this 2021 County of San Diego crop report, the different types of products that are produced throughout the county. So this area is definitely known for some of their nurseries and trees, as well as vegetables, avocados, citrus. And these percentages that you see here really fluctuate from year to year based on market conditions and demands for certain products, as well as changes in climate as well. So next we'll go to Imperial County. So this definitely has a lot of agriculture throughout the county. And this is Imperial Irrigation District supports a lot of different farming practices and products, about double amount of the acreage as compared to San Diego County in agricultural production area. And the size of these farms are much larger in Imperial County, and the average size is about 200 acres. And back in San Diego, it's about less than 10 acres for the majority. So definitely some differences here. And you can see some of the top 10 commodities within some of their reporting, cattle, alfalfa being the top 2, and then a lot of vegetables that are grown here that we all love to eat. Tribal nations also have agriculture production throughout some of them. For example, the Palma Band of Mission Indians grows Hass avocados, Valencia oranges, and other products. And then we also have a good amount of agriculture in the portion of Mexico that we're currently studying. And that includes Mexicali, which is actually one of Mexico's most productive agricultural regions, which produces a lot of vegetables, as you can see here, asparagus, broccoli, carrots. So a good amount of agricultural production throughout each of the 5 focus areas that definitely varies from area to area. And so when we think about agriculture and water, it's important to understand the water resources that support this agriculture. We need water to be able to grow food. And the primary source of water throughout the majority of the focus areas that we've identified is from imported water, from the State Water Project, which carries water from Northern California to Southern California, and primarily from the Colorado River, which spans 7 states, and it also provides water to portions of Mexico. And this is one of the primary sources of water for Imperial County, San Diego County, as well as Mexico. That serves both urban and agricultural water demands. There's also local groundwater we've identified that is really important for tribal nations, as well as portions of Eastern San Diego County in providing for agricultural production. And then something that we'll touch a little bit on is kind of the emergence of water recycling. So recycling wastewater for what you might understand for like purple pipe. That's for more urban use and urban irrigation. We're seeing an expansion of water recycling specifically for agricultural use. And the city of Escondido has a project that they're currently working on. That's a really exciting project that I'll talk about a little bit later. But to summarize here, most of this water and for these focus areas is imported or some local groundwater aquifers to provide that water resource. So, this effort is called the Regional Water Equity Effort. So it's really important to think about equity considerations when we're talking about water and agriculture. And we've identified that drought impacts our communities and agricultural producers in different ways. And it's important to have a lens of water equity when you're thinking about solutions and making decisions about strategies in the future. And so to work through some of these solutions and ideas, we've developed 4 water equity metrics that you can see here on the right side of the screen. So these are water affordability, which would be like water rates and what you pay for water reliability, which is how reliable is the source of water that you're using? Is it going to be turned off tomorrow, or is it a pretty steady source of water that you're going to have access to? We also look at water quality and if it's clean and safe for use for different purposes, as well as water accessibility. So the ability for water to be transported to your home, business, or farm without any breaks. So those are the 4 metrics that we're starting to work within. And we're starting to see some interesting initial takeaways specific to agricultural production and water. And one of those is water supply access. So in times of drought, we're seeing that some agricultural producers are getting a decrease in the amount of water that they have access to. And so that impacts their livelihoods and their ability to grow food. Similarly, we're seeing that water rates, excuse me, very important distinction. Water rates are actually variable across the region. And so this is something else to consider. Higher water rates might make it harder for some agricultural producers to stay profitable, especially with the changing climate and that change to access. So those are some initial things that we're starting to explore. And we're really keeping that in mind when we start to think about solutions to better support our local farmers throughout the region. And so now we'll start to talk about some of the resources and the solutions that have been implemented that exist and could be expanded upon in the future. So we'll start with rebates and some local agencies that support our farmers. So several agencies in San Diego County offer irrigation efficiency checks where they'll go out to your farm or your business and identify opportunities to make that more efficient in terms of irrigation and offer rebates. Similarly, there's soil moisture sensor rebate systems that are also offered that could help make your farms more efficient with its water use. In Imperial County, the Imperial Irrigation District offers an energy rewards program, and we know that energy use is highly correlated to water use. So this could be an opportunity to reduce, energy bills as well as water use and consumption throughout Imperial County. And there are several other agencies that are listed here, the County of San Diego, the Water Authority, resource conservation districts that provide support to local farmers. And the slide used to have a lot more text on it, and we decided to take some of that out. So if you have questions or if you want more information on some of the resources that we compiled, we'd be happy to discuss them afterward and provide them to you. So now we'll talk a little bit about the technologies that are out there that are getting us pretty excited, as well as some water efficiency strategies that I think are a little bit more well-known. But on the left side of the screen, we'll talk about smart water meters and leak detection technologies. So there's this new technology called Flume, which was implemented with a campaign throughout a city in Southern California, where you attach the system to your water meter that brings water into your home or into your farm. And it actually can tell you how much when water is running, and it's a private data set, so you can understand, oh man, if I have a leak and water's running throughout the night when it shouldn't be, this is a great system where there's a couple colleagues actually on this call today that have implemented this system within their own home or farm, and they've seen great savings, not only with their water consumption, but their water bill. So a lot of exciting technologies out there that we're researching and discovering. The two solutions on the right here, we'll talk a little bit about overall water efficiency and ideas to be more water efficient with how we farm. So the conversion to drip irrigation, this is something that's been talked about for many years and implemented where practical. It's shown to be able to save a lot of water, but this isn't always practical for all crops. So something that we're looking in is information on where drip irrigation has been successful, where it just doesn't make sense to provide that information more broadly. And then finally, mulch practices, composting, biochar, these are all solutions that help retain water, either storm water or water from irrigation within your soil. And also helps reduce losses from evapotranspiration. So a couple different strategies and solutions that we're starting to look into. The strategies on this slide are definitely closest to my heart, and I think there's a huge potential, and I think there's a lot of funding that is coming out to support these types of solutions specific to agricultural producers. So as I mentioned earlier, the use of, starting from the left and going to the right, the use of recycled water for irrigation. So the city of Escondido, as I mentioned, is putting together a program and infrastructure to recycled water and deliver that specifically for agricultural producers. Great thing, and something that we've been hearing from some of our stakeholders that we've been interviewing within the agricultural realm, that something like this, that when we think about water recycling and how that's been implemented so broadly throughout San Diego County, if it can be, if agricultural producers can also be considered when thinking about that infrastructure and the distribution of that infrastructure. Another solution that has, variable capital costs, you need to maintain these things, is having ponds or cisterns for stormwater collection for irrigation. We know it doesn't rain all the time in California, but when it does, if you could hold on to this rainwater and use that local resource for irrigation, that may be a benefit depending on your farm size and type of crops that you use or that you grow. And similarly, along that approach is localized on-site wash water reuse. So if you grow a type of crop that is required to be washed prior to distribution, there are technologies to capture and treat that water and then reuse it for irrigation. And what we've seen that's been pretty exciting throughout some of the other deep dives on gray water reuse and stormwater collection is there may be a way to combine stormwater collection and on-site reuse for wash water into a really efficient system. So those are some of the solutions that we're exploring. But again, all of these things have different cost implications that must be balanced when you're making solutions about implementing them on farms. Second to last slide, these are some of the policy-based acknowledgements that we did want to make, and we simplified this slide and very definitely open to discussion on this one specifically. There's several pilot programs on the national and international level and additional resources that may benefit some farms throughout the region that we're looking at. But what we're hearing is that local producers are busy taking care of their farm and growing products and food, and may not have the resources to be competitive or be able to go after some of these grants. So finding ways to bring this information to our agricultural producers is something that we're also looking into. So to close, water equity is really important when we're thinking about regional water and agriculture. And this portfolio is really dependent on, 3 of those 4 equity metrics of affordability, reliability, and access to water supplies. And there's several solutions that we talked about. Some of them have been broadly implemented from what we've heard. And if we want to continue to implement these, water conservation strategies really depend on the size and scale of farms, the crop mix, and may not make sense. Certain solutions may not be a one size fit all. The water saving technologies, leak detection, reuse strategies are also available, but these really vary in costs. And so making decisions about which ones might work best are things that are important considerations. And then the last point is there's a lot of resources out there. There's a lot of grants, and more are anticipated in the future to come online, specific to water and agriculture. So just making sure that our agricultural producers throughout the region are aware, and these are made easily accessible to them is something that's important to us as we finalize our regional water equity effort and the report. So with that, I will turn it back over to Rebecca, and looking forward to having a collaborative discussion with you all.
Thank you very much, Stephanie, for that overview, and really look forward to getting into the discussion with you all. This is the point where we're going to open it up for questions and discussion. I know at the beginning I mentioned breakout rooms. We're going to keep us all into one group. So I'm going to ask my colleague, Natalia King, and she's going to be sharing her screen, where we'll be using this virtual whiteboard to capture any of your thoughts or input. And this is really where we want to hear from you on your experiences. She's also going to be copying a link and putting it in the chat, where you will have access to this as well and can write your thoughts. Available on our website. Not all are there quite yet, but we will be placing them up there for your viewing within the next couple of weeks. And I'd just like to take a moment to thank everyone for joining us today and for joining us on past workshops. Again, everything you shared with us is really insightful and is going to be very valuable for us to inform our future work, and hopefully to support the work that you all are doing as well. And we can't do the work that we're doing without feedback from our communities and those working in this space. So in terms of outreach, my colleague Natalia shared in the chat, we will be sharing much more in the coming weeks about our water assembly. And then for our upcoming board hearing, our board directed us to come back within a year of this effort. We've pushed it out a little bit to winter of 2024. So we will be having more updates on when that really would come to the board. As this is a Board of Supervisors directed initiative, there will be a chance to publicly comment on our draft report. We will provide a revised report that would be presented to our board. And that comment period is really where you've gotten a taste of what some of that information is going to look like in the report, and we really look forward to your comments and feedback on the content of the Regional Water Equity Report. So really hope that you all stay engaged throughout this effort, and we appreciate all the thoughts and feedback that you've provided so far, and the ideas and strategies on how we can include those in our efforts moving forward. So I am standing in for my colleague, Elise Ruiz, who leads this effort. Her contact information is on the slide here. A number of our folks of our Office of Sustainability and Environmental Justice are also on this call. Our website is here. And then a huge thanks to Stephanie for your presentation and sharing all the just insightful content that is to come in the report of just one piece of the report. So with that, thank you all for joining, and we look forward to seeing you at some of our future events coming up. Have a great evening.